Ilana Dunn from Seeing Other People podcast. Welcome to Diltish Wines.
I have so much to whine about. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having
I'm
me.
so excited. We've been following each other on Instagram for, I think since, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw the follow come through around the Marin 28 dates, 28 dates episode. Is that right?
Probably, yeah.
The girl, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
and so I've been following your podcast since, and low-key inspired, but also a little jealous. You found your
Oh my
husband.
God. Okay, and I'm jealous of the setup you have right now. So and the fact that you can talk back to your nail lady and Verizon person. So we all the grass is always greener.
While we were waiting to start, I was saying that well, I've really come a long way. Like I can even tell my nail lady when the shape isn't right, and that's growth. You know what I mean?
That's so much
It's
adulting
the
and
hardest thing
maturity
to
and growth.
do to speak up for yourself. Why is it so hard in the smallest of situations?
I don't know why. I would rather sit there in physical pain for an hour when I'm getting a massage that I'm paying a lot of money for than say, softer, please. Why? What is wrong with me?
What is wrong? It's so many of us.
It's a problem.
It's so many of us. It's weird. You're paying for the service. One of my friends got her dog groomed and she picked her dog up and it had painted toenails and she did not ask for it. They were bright neon pink. And she texted me a photo and I saw her the next day and I was like, why didn't you say something? And she's like, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, okay, well, when you drop her off the next time, say, last time you painted my dog's nails, please don't. And she's like, I could never.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why would they do that unprompted?
I know, it was really bad. Anyway, okay, you're the host of Seeing Other People podcast and it's Life in Progress. Is that right?
Yes, Life in Progress and Seeing Other People.
Okay. Admittedly, I haven't checked out Life in Progress. I mean, I've seen the clips from your Instagram, but Seeing Other People I love. And you used to work for social media at Hinge.
Mm-hmm.
And you're married.
I'm married. I'm not wearing my ring right now, but I'm married.
Oh, okay. Any reason for that or?
No, some days, most days I don't leave the house.
Yeah. Well, you work from home.
I work from home. So today I woke up not feeling well and I was just in pajamas on all day except for when I went to a doctor appointment. I came home, I showered and I had a recording and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't put it on. If I'm ever going to do anything, I will. But I also sometimes take it off when if I'm ever working out, I'm not going to wear it. And then it's just I forget to put it back on. So,
yeah.
But it's next
do you think
you'd feel
any type of way if your husband wasn't wearing his ring?
Oh, 100%.
Out and about.
Jail.
You
divorce.
Would. Jail, divorce.
No, I don't think I would. I think I would just be I think I would make a sarcastic comment about it. And then he would be like, you're not wearing yours either. And I'd be like,
right.
Touche.
You got a point.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to start off by talking about your experience at Hinge. So what was your role or title again?
So when I started, I was their video and content producer. And by the time I left, I was lead content creator. But essentially, I was running their social media, creating video content for them. I was my job description was the face of Hinge. And so I was posting videos and stories on their accounts. I, at one point, started a podcast for them called Dating Sucks. And yeah, I really did all things social.
Okay. And how long did you do that for?
A little over 2 years.
And you were active on Hinge during that? Is that a conflict of interest? Was that allowed? Was that okay?
Totally allowed. It was really interesting because being in the dating app world, it was is it controversial to be on a different dating app? I had coworkers who were on Tinder and Coffee Meets Bagel and all these other apps and nobody cared. No one actually cares. It wasn't competitive. I think at one point it was one of the someone high up at Hinge met their partner on Tinder and someone high up at Tinder met their partner on Hinge. And we were all owned by the same company anyway. So everyone was super supportive. But at one point, I did actually wonder, am I allowed to be in a relationship? Because I was creating content about being single and being on Hinge for a living for them.
Right.
And I actually asked my boss and she laughed and she was like, Ilana, of course you're allowed to be in a relationship. So I was, and then I wasn't, and then I was back on Hinge.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Did you feel I want to get into the dating aspect of it, but during your time working for Hinge, were you just like hating Hinge and hating dating apps? Like, were you really like speaking from a place of terrible experience, or were you like getting some good luck? And you're from New York, right? You live in New York.
Yeah, I'm in New
Got to be
York.
so
I mean,
different over there.
I had great dating app experiences and I had horrible dating app experiences. I went on a lot of dates. Most of them didn't work out. I went on fun dates. I went on bad dates. I really did it all. And so, yeah, there were some times where I was able to speak to like feeling so burnt out and exhausted from going on first date after first date and not having it go anywhere, or
Hmm.
getting all these likes that wouldn't turn into conversations or conversations that wouldn't turn into dates. And other times I was able to say, like, wow, I met someone amazing from this app. We're not in a relationship, but I'm so glad I met them because I learned this thing about myself or about dating or about life from them.
Hmm. Um, I used to bitch so bad about Hinge. Like it says, what is it? We're the dating app.
Designed to be
The
deleted.
dating, yes, the dating app designed to be deleted. But I've met so many people that are like, I have thousands of matches. I have this, and I'm like, Hinge needs to do something about that. And just
Mhm.
recently, I know you're not on Hinge anymore, but obviously, I know you talk to people about their dating experience. Do you know that now they've updated it
Yep.
where you can only have, I don't know the number, is it 8 or 10,
8.
but like 8. So like I went to send likes or something, and it was like you have too many people waiting on a response or whatever, or matches or something, where you have to like figure it out, like shit or get off the pot, basically, which I think it's great.
I think it's a good thing for sure. I think some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it,
Yeah.
but it's definitely going to force people to be more intentional.
Yeah, I think the people that are there seriously are gonna like it.
Yeah.
Probably. Like, and I'm on there for serious reasons. And yeah, did I have people waiting on responses? Definitely. But they were like, I was waiting for them to come back with a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
such a boring thing to say. Like try again.
No, I
Try
mean, it
again.
happened. That's how Jake and my husband and I met. He messaged me and said, like, he actually, well, no, this was my bad. He messaged me
Okay.
probably the greatest message any guy could have ever messaged me, which was, "Hey, I also love the Jonas Brothers, just letting you know." Because I had a
Okay.
prompt in my profile about loving the Jonas Brothers. And I don't know why I didn't answer. I don't know if I didn't see it. I don't know if I saw it and just like couldn't answer at the time and then forgot.
Yeah.
But a week later, he followed up and said, like, just figured I'd try again. How was your weekend? And I immediately responded and was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you did. I don't know how I didn't respond before. And we got into a great conversation. But sometimes, like, the follow up is important.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw something too that said like you're more likely to meet the person if you respond within 24 hours of matching or 48
That's
hours
true.
of matching.
Yeah, that's true because otherwise you're less likely to respond. Like,
Yeah, you're
or,
just like on to the next.
yeah, or you waited a while, so then they're going to wait a while, and then you both get it in your head of like, oh well, they're waiting, so now I have to wait that same number of hours that they waited plus 2 hours to, play it cool, and it's so ridiculous. It's so stupid the mind games we play with ourselves.
It's so stupid, but why can I tell my nail lady, my nail tech to fix my nail, but I can't like be straightforward with a guy on Hinge?
That's the
Actually, I
next thing you got
can
to work
sometimes. I
on.
really pick and choose.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Will we ever? Okay, so you left Hinge, you got fired, is that right? Laid off?
I got let go, quote unquote. I lost my job. They
Okay.
decided to no longer do social media. That was a decision made in November of 2020. And they still, to this day, do not do social media.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Okay, I
If
guess you're
you
right.
if you look at their Instagram, it is completely blank. They wiped it out after I left, and they have not posted anything since. They do social media through like meme pages and influencers, but they don't have their own. So they removed my role.
Interesting
Hmm.
choice to make in the world of social media. I guess, I mean,
I agree.
I am a content creator, like, I guess. I mean, obviously podcast, but personal too. But like, I wonder what that choice would have been for what?
Yeah,
You don't know.
some things we just don't understand in
Yeah,
life.
but it led
Um,
you to where you are. So you
yes.
were leading their podcast, Dating Sucks. And then
Hmm.
obviously you got let go. So you decided, like, I'm just going to do it for myself.
My first year at Hinge was amazing. It was the most creative I've ever been encouraged to be. It was very much startup mode, like throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. You have an idea, like go try it out. If it doesn't work, like, okay, learn something from it.
Yeah.
And so doing Dating Sucks was one of those things. I was like, hey, like these 60-second videos are helpful, but imagine how much more we could help people if we had a whole podcast and talked to
Mm-hmm.
expert guests and talked about topics at length. And so it was exactly that. It was like, okay, you want to start a podcast? Like, go do it. And I did. And it was this light bulb moment of like, oh my God, this is my purpose. This is how I can really make an impact. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And I absolutely love it. And around that time, they had gotten acquired by Match Group. This 60-person company suddenly had this like huge, massive parent corporation. And the creative playground I was in was suddenly like, oh, you have an idea? Okay, make a 40 slide deck, pitch it to us, and maybe like 3 quarters from now we can consider it, but 17 people need to approve it.
Right.
And so we had this amazing season 1 of Dating Sucks, and all I wanted to do was continue doing it. And I was being told no at every corner, or like, not now, or, you have to do this thing first before you can do that. And so I was really not happy my last like 6 months there. And so when I got let go, I was completely, completely shocked. But it was the biggest blessing ever. Like 1,000-pound weight lifted off my shoulders immediately. And it was COVID. It was November 2020. So I was in a Zoom losing my job. And I was texting my friend saying, I just lost my job. I'm going to start a podcast. And I knew right then and there
Oh, I just got
I was
chills.
I was not going to apply to any company. I did not want to run social anywhere. I did not want to be told no anymore. I found this thing I love to do and I was going to make it happen.
That's amazing. So when did you start it? How long did it take you? And did you know? Because I obviously started my podcast and I knew nothing about AV, like sound, soundboards, microphones, aux cords, like XLR cables. Like it was such a journey learning that. Did
Mhm.
you already have any experience with that? Like,
I did. Not like the technical stuff. I listen, like, could I go run a radio show or produce an album? Like, radio show, maybe. Produce an album? Like, no. But I had enough skills to do it.
yeah.
I also, in a way, I kind of studied this in college. My major was television, radio, film, and my minor was music business. And
Okay.
so instead of, write this paper, read this book, take this exam, my assignments were film this music video, make this podcast or radio show.
Yeah.
And so I did learn those skills over time. And so I was in a really great place where like when I made Dating Sucks for Hinge, I did it.
So
Um
cool.
so I really did like have that leg up where I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. So how long after you started your
Yeah.
own, like how long did it take you to start it, come up with the name? Like,
About 6 weeks.
oh my
I
gosh.
spent 6 weeks like coloring out my feelings in an adult curse word coloring book. Um And January, like the first week of January, first Tuesday in January, I launched Seeing Other People. The name was hard. That was probably the hardest part about it. Um, I would have done it like a month before had I just wanted to give myself a little more breathing space.
Yeah.
But the name was the hardest part. I had like 100 names. I ended up like doing a poll on Instagram and Seeing Other People kept winning. And I didn't like Seeing Other People like at all. But
Really?
I,
What were
I
the other
gave in.
choices, if you remember?
Like stupid things like PS I like you and like it's
Oh, that's kind of cute.
complicated.
Okay. Okay. I can see where they
Yeah.
all would have worked in this land, though.
Yeah, they all could have worked. But Seeing Other People is the one that stuck.
And the one that stuck, I mean, and the people are the ones that are listening to your podcast. So why not take their
Yeah,
votes or their
exactly.
advice? So you just had a dream and you were like, I'm gonna do it, and eventually I'm gonna need to make money from this because I'm not applying to
Yes.
jobs. So how did that go?
Yes. My biggest advice to anybody trying to start a podcast is don't start a podcast because you want to make money. Um, and
Yeah.
I knew that going into it. And my mindset was like, I'm going to give myself 6 months to figure it out and I will freelance and take on as many freelance gigs as I need. And so I did. I ran social for different people. I produced other people's podcasts. I did some graphic design stuff. I did like consulting
Hmm.
for other people who wanted to start podcasts or didn't know where to start with, launching their brand social. So I really just did it all. And I did that for a year and a half.
Okay.
And probably like 6 months into seeing other people, I started making some money off of it. And then after a year and a half, I reached this point where I was like, I need to at some point take the leap of faith and give this my all. Otherwise, it's never going to grow more than it is right now. And so,
Mhm.
August of 2022, I decided like I'm not going to take on, I'm going to leave my free, like I'm done. Like I'm going to ride my contracts out and not do more freelance. And I'm going to give it my all with seeing other people. And listen, to this day, like I'd say I consider myself a podcaster. Like that is my job. I host a dating podcast, but only 30% of my income comes from the podcast. The rest comes from my
Mhm.
socials.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's very inspiring. I'm obviously asking you these questions because I'm in season 4 of my podcast. And it's just like I said, it's a journey, like learning. I have no background in that, what you
Yep.
had. So learning all of that was just like it was very hard, it was taxing, but it was very enjoyable. When you see something succeeding and sticking and progress coming through and sponsors answering yes and guests answering yes. And so people ask me all the time for my advice or how I did the podcast. And I always say, do it, but it's very hard work. Like
Yeah.
it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And for me, I'm a quitter. I am a chronic quitter, like through school, through anything. But I didn't realize it was just because I was quitting things I didn't like. And so I
There we
say that,
go.
like, I'm doing this and I'm not making, I mean, I make small amounts of money, but like, let's say I'm making zero money, $0. I'm doing this and I love it and I'm stuck with it. And
Yeah.
it's hard. So it can be so rewarding, but it's hard.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And people are like, oh, well, anybody with a computer can start a podcast. And it's like, sure. But most people I see who just decide to start a podcast don't stick with it, or they really like feel lost like from the get-go, and they wanted to do it because they thought it like would be an overnight success, and that's when
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And when it does work is when you learn from your mistakes and you have episodes where you lost the audio and it sounds like shit, but you put it out anyway, and you like learn why you lost the audio. And like, it's about it really is such a learning process. And I mean, I feel like we're whether it's a full-time job or not, like I feel like we're so lucky to do this, and the people that we meet through it, the conversations we have, like I correct me if not if I'm wrong, but like I'm curious about your experience. Like for me, I think the 12 episodes of Dating Sucks that I did changed my life from how
Mhm.
much I learned from them.
Yeah. Yeah. So season 1, I started with a co-host, and so we did start at a studio, but like we were just like very like they did everything for us. I did not learn anything, and then my co-host and I parted ways, which we're still best friends. Everything's good, but I always like to say that.
It
Um,
happens.
but then I had to rebrand and decide if I was going to do this on my own, and I literally told myself, "Paige, you're a quitter. Like, might as well just quit now." You know what I mean? Like, don't start again. Like, just quit now. And it's like, but I love this. So, around because I still counted that season as
As you
episodes. So I think around
should.
yeah, I think around episode 30 or so is when the second season started, and I learned so much about myself, my patience, my resilience, I always say I'm not creative, but like I am in this way, obviously finding guests and having conversations with them. But yeah, it absolutely has changed my life for the better. And I just got lunch with someone yesterday and they were like, "How do you go to these networking events? Like, how are you?" I'm like, "The podcast changed my life." Like, say what you want about it. Like, maybe I'm not making that much money, but like I'm meeting some amazing people in this world and get to share conversations and who you are with somebody who would have maybe never come across you. And that's what I love. So when I do start making the big money, it'll be that much better.
Yeah, it really is like the most special thing in the world. And yeah, like and listen, like some days suck, and sometimes like you don't want to record, or you're not feeling well and you have to, or you're falling behind and like you have to scramble to get an episode out, but like it's all worth it. There's pros and cons to everything, and
It's all worth
it's an
it.
amazing thing that we're doing.
Okay, good. Well, that's motivating for me because I mean, I'm in a good spot, but sometimes you get a little comfortable, like I have the studio now, they're doing a lot of the work that I used to be doing, and it's like I've kind of been like chilling a little bit, like taking a back seat, but like I'm ready to get back out and be utilizing those hours that I was utilizing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, got
Yep.
to get back out there.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing all that because that's very inspiring. Okay, dating. We got to talk.
Dating.
Do you consider yourself a dating coach ish?
Yes.
Would you say? Okay.
Yeah, I do like one-on-one dating coaching. I have for a few years now. It started with doing profile reviews and helping people, get the right photos, craft the right prompts, like swipe properly. But I do all different types of dating coaching now.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I need you.
I'm here.
Maybe I need you. I had my
Call me,
girlfriends help
beat
me.
me when you want to reach me.
Yeah. I had my girlfriends help me recreate my profile. And actually, like, I do really like my profile right now. And I was looking through your Instagram recently, just like looking back at some of the videos you've made. And it's like, you don't want your dating app to look like your Instagram
hmm
feed. You know what I mean? Like, have some like real photos on there, or real kind of experiences, right?
Yeah, real personality. I think so often we just want to put like our prettiest foot forward or,
Hmm.
the shots that we think people are going to be like, oh, that's hot. But that doesn't necessarily say anything about you. Like anyone could be standing there on a beach in a bikini sipping out of a coconut. But what does that
Right.
mean? Like, what does that say about you? Nothing.
Yeah. And how often are you doing that? Like, that's not real
Exactly,
life. Yeah.
exactly. Versus a photo where you're at a big Friendsgiving table with your friends and you can caption it something like when I burnt all the food and had to order it for everyone.
Okay. Do you suggest photos with friends?
I do, not for all of
Yeah.
them, but I think there absolutely
One.
should be one or two photos of you with friends or family. Um, I always liked to see that on someone else's profile.
Yeah.
And in the conversations I've had with hundreds, if not thousands of people over the years, everyone else does too. Because first of all, you're like your most natural and happiest when you're with your people. And
Hmm.
in an ideal world, if you're getting into a relationship with somebody, their people are going to become your people. And so you want to see them like in their natural habitat with their
Yeah.
friends or family.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a video, I put a video on my profile and it's like not the most flattering video. It's like very kooky, I would say. It's like I'm doing some sort of weird like shoulder shimmy at my 100th episode live show. And so I was obviously just like in a great mood. I looked great. I was feeling great. But anyway, I got the video and I was like, that would be funny because I am kooky. Like I'm a weirdo and I have this photo of me in a great blue dress when I was in Mexico, but I also want this video to like, you know what you're getting kind of thing, you know?
Exactly. I
So,
love that. That's
and
perfect.
it is like the most liked or commented on, or when I go out on dates with people, they were like, yeah, I thought you looked like a good time. That video that you have of you dancing really bad, you know?
Exactly, because it says something about you. It shows more of who you are and what they're gonna get, and it helps you stand out because not everyone's doing that. And sure, like you could have a picture on the beach and have a picture, like doing whatever other thing, running or snowboarding or on your couch with your dog, but this like we're all so three-dimensional and the more personality we can put into our profiles, the more we'll
Yeah.
actually attract the right people and deter the wrong people. Like you don't want somebody who's only going to want you at your hottest self on the beach in the blue dress. You want
A
somebody
hundred
who's
percent.
going to embrace and love that you're kooky and can silly dance and
Yeah.
be proud of it.
I started I get that there's going to be an attraction there, right? Because that's what dating is about, and especially on an app. That's the first thing. But I've started like pretty much swiping left on anyone who makes any sort of physical appearance comment. Like, there's a photo of me like in zebra pants. I also wanted to show that like I'm loud, you know what I mean? Um, like the photo and that's fine, but like make weird physical comments about it and you're just here
I
for
agree.
the
It's
ass.
not the time or the place and like good for you that you're able to suss that out and see it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've always been doing it, but it's something
Of
it's a
course.
new best practice I'm
Learning
trying,
and growing.
learning and growing. Okay, so red flags on dating apps. Do you think that you should always list what you're looking for as far as looking for something serious, looking for something casual, figuring out my dating goals? Like what are your thoughts on leaving those not listed or listing them?
I think if you're looking for something serious, you should say on your dating app profile that you're looking for something serious. Why wouldn't you? Like,
Mhm.
why, that's how we end up in situationships, by going on dates with people who aren't looking for the same thing as us. And maybe they even tell us that they're looking for something casual. And we like them so much that we're like, oh yeah, that totally works for me. Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah.
You're literally hurting yourself. You are breaking your own heart because you're saying challenge accepted. They're not going to change their mind. Trust me, I
Uh,
I tried over and over and over. I did my own research for you all. They will not change their mind. So if you're looking for something serious, lead with that. You have nothing to lose by putting that out there. And in fact, you should be talking about that on dates. You should be talking about what you're looking for. But back to the profile part, if you're not sure what you're looking for, or if you're looking for something serious but open to casual, or if you're figuring it out, like, that's where I'd say you don't have to put that on, but I do think it's important to talk about it on the first 3 dates, because otherwise you could end up wasting your time. You could end up wasting somebody else's time, and people's feelings are real, and you just don't want to put yourself or somebody else in the position to get hurt when you can avoid it.
yeah. How strongly do you feel that like what is the saying? Oh my gosh, it's escaping me. If they want to, they will. How strongly do you feel about that?
If they wanted to, they might. If they wanted to, maybe they want to, but they can't right now. Maybe they want to, but they don't know how. Maybe they would, but they don't know that you want them to.
Okay.
There are like, no, how many times have you wanted to but didn't?
So many.
Maybe you were afraid. Maybe you'd been hurt in the past, so you didn't know how to proceed. Maybe you just didn't know how to ask for it or didn't know how to say it. Maybe you didn't know if it was too soon or if they were ready for it. There are so many situations. Like, nothing is black and white, especially in dating, especially with emotions, especially with past traumas and heartbreak. So how could, if he wanted to, if she wanted to, if they wanted to, they would be real when we never follow that ourselves?
Okay, mic drop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said anything.
It's the hill I'll die on. Sorry. Not sorry, actually.
I didn't know that you felt that. Like I didn't know that you
Yeah.
had like a strong opinion on it, but I love that.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, they might. Okay.
And I have talked to so many men who are like, no, like, why do people assume that? There are so many times where we want to do things, but we don't, for a million reasons. And I think women are so quick to just feel like, okay, well, we get anxious about things, but they don't. Like, they've got it all on lock. No, guys are anxious too. Like, I've had so many male listeners reach out to me about this. I've had male guests on the podcast who are like, no, like, sometimes I want to, but I'm scared to. Like, I'm scared to put myself in the position to get hurt. And they're not
Yeah.
giving me any signals that they're really into me. So it'd be a really big risk for me to, put myself out there in that way. And I'm waiting for them to give me some indication that I should do this, but they don't. And meanwhile, she's sitting there texting all her friends, being like, why hasn't he defined the relationship? Why hasn't he asked me to be exclusive? Like, why hasn't he, followed up yet today? And there's just this assumption game. And we're all human, and we have to remember that.
Yeah. Okay, I needed to hear that all.
A lot of people do.
Oh
And
my
I needed to
God.
hear it too when I was single, trust me.
Yeah, I do identify with like what is it? Anxiety, attachment, something something
Hmm.
like so
Yeah,
when I
anxious attachment.
don't yeah, like I do need communication or a response. And I've gotten better about that and rather than thinking like oh, they must not like me. Like I have changed it to think of, well, do I like them? Am I okay with this cadence of communication? Am I feeling why am I feeling anxious? Like they're busy, they have a long day, like they have things going on too, but I don't know, it's still a battle of like you could everyone have I mean, you wear an Apple Watch, like you can text someone back.
Yeah. On the flip side, maybe they're just not a big texter and they've already told you they had a good time on the date. You have a date planned for Friday. And so they're going about their lives. They're excited to see you. They don't know that you're sitting there anxiously checking your phone every 5 seconds to see if they texted you and having your heart drop every time your phone vibrates. And listen, I was such an anxious dater. I
Yeah.
am such a big texter. And one guy that I dated, our first like 3 or 4 dates were so great. And every time the date was amazing, I would hear from him after, we would make the next plan, and then I literally wouldn't hear from him for days. And I was like, what is going on? Like, does this guy hate me? I don't understand. I'm so confused. And so maybe after our third or fourth date, I brought it up. I was like, I don't want this to sound like really lame, but I get really anxious like when I don't hear from you in between dates. And I don't know if you're just not a big texter or if you're not looking for what I'm looking for, or if you just don't like me that much. But when I don't hear from you, I feel like you don't like me. And
Mhm.
he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you felt that way. That's not my intention at all. I really like you. I'm excited to see where this could go. I'm not a big texter, especially during the week when I'm at work. But if it would mean something to you, I'm happy to try and be better. And he became the best texter overnight. But he had no idea that I needed that until I told him.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. What do you think if you're having a good interaction with somebody, you go on a date or two and you still have that match on Hinge, but you're not exclusive, and now Hinge you only have 8 or 10 matches that you need to
Mhm.
talk to somebody else. What's the protocol here? Like,
Go.
are you unmatching the convo with the person so you can explore more dates? Like,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah, and I'm
no,
asking from
don't,
personal
no.
experience, by the
Yeah.
way.
I would say absolutely do not unmatch because if anything, that's going to send mixed signals or that's going to make them get in their head. How would you feel if you went
No,
on
I'm
to
asking because somebody
someone did
unmatched
that
me
to you? Okay.
and
Yeah.
we're still talking, planning to go out again. And I am like, there's no good reason why you unmatched a match. Like, because you unmatched a match to get more conversation with somebody else because you
Yeah.
needed room. You unmatched because you were leaving out of town for work and maybe you're not supposed to be on a dating app. There's all these things going through my head of like, you deleted your profile because you're that into me after 2 dates? Doubtful.
Don't
Do
want
you know what
that
I mean?
either. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I would say it's probably the first one. It's probably that wanted to like keep matching with people, but
Yeah.
that's also okay because I
It's
imagine
okay,
you're
but it's
doing the
still a
same
shot to
thing.
the heart.
But yes, that's why I started saying like don't do that. Because it
Yeah.
sends mixed signals and now you're in your head about it
I
and
know. And
you're
I can't possibly
questioning
ask.
what's going on. I know. You can, but you don't want to. You
Well,
shouldn't
because then
have
then he
to.
but then the other side of it is like, well, why were you on Hinge? Were you dating? You know what I mean?
Right.
Were you looking to make sure?
I had a guest come on recently, Felix Levine. He is dating Serena Kerrigan, and he told me this story about
Oh,
how,
love Serena
yeah,
Kerrigan.
their relationship is awesome. I
You met
love
him
their
on his
story.
podcast, is that right?
Yeah. So
Love.
after, I think it was after like their first or second date, like they were like texting nonstop. They're like already had their next date planned, like so obsessed with each other already. And he was like on this long drive at like 5 a.m. and she was texting him that she was out. And so they were still talking like while she was out. And one of his friends ran into her at this like party that she was at and texted Felix and was like, hey, bud, like just want to let you know, like she's here with another guy. And so he's like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like it seems like everything's really good, but she's like clearly hooking up with this other guy.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still texting me and he decided like let me focus on like the connection that she and I have and like the facts that I know and that's we have had a great time so far. We're still talking and we're excited to see each other and he decided to keep in the mindset of like yeah, he could also be out one night like and make out with a random girl. That wouldn't mean that he's not into her. And he ended up like bringing it up to her the next time he saw her and she was like, "Oh my God, like, no, like he's an old friend. Like that shouldn't have happened. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really like you." And like 2 weeks later, they were in a relationship. And so
Wow.
all
That's
you
some
can
real
do
grown
is
people shit.
exactly, it's adultish. All you can do is focus on
Adultish.
what you know. And you can't control what you can't control, but what you can control is how you react to it. And I'd say just focus on the facts that you have. And the facts that you have are you've had a good time on your dates with him and you're planning on seeing each other again.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do that. Really concentrate on trying to do that.
And
Okay,
and you're
what are
still
some
on the apps too.
right. But really, like, just to say, like, I am really only on the apps to occupy right now. Like, and I have gone on a couple dates, one date since I met that guy, but it's really just to like
Distract. Yeah.
distract.
Okay. Well, word to the wise, anyone listening, if you go on some dates with somebody and you're into them, don't unmatch them to match other people.
I know. Shot to the heart. Yeah, that was like
Yep.
really a low
That's
moment
rough.
for me,
Pour
but
one
I'm
out. I'm
fine.
sorry.
We're
Take a
Thank
sip.
you. I know. I need a little more. Okay. What are some dating rules that you hear that, from your either coaching clients or guests on your podcast or just in your friend groups that you like debunk, like not true, like don't do that? Because I know that's
All
how
of
you
them.
met or was it the first date with your husband
With my
was,
husband, yeah.
yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So, first of all, there's not a single dating rule that I agree with. Because how can one rule be true for everybody in every situation? Like, we're all different. You have a completely different history with dating and relationships than me. I've had shit happen to me that hasn't happened to my best friend, and she's had shit happen to her that hasn't happened to me. And so, how could what works
Mhm.
for her work for me and work for you? It doesn't. So, first of all, the whole thing with like you can't double text. Like you can't text if you're the girl, you can't text him first after the date. Like screw that. Every single guy I've talked to has said without a doubt, without fail, that they find it attractive when the girl shows interest, when she takes the initiative. First of all, when she thanks them for the date after the date,
Mhm.
and when she isn't afraid to text first or ask them out. And the idea that like we can't take matters into our own hands, like we're supposed to be like empowering each other and lifting each other up, and that takes any ounce of empowerment out of it, that we just have to sit here and wait for them to do everything. They're tired of doing everything. So the dating rule that says like the guy has to text first or you can't text them after the date because it like interrupts their thought process or because you have to give them time to decide to reach out to you, like that's just that doesn't happen, that doesn't work.
Okay.
um Double texting, if you have something to say it. Who cares? Literally, who
Yeah.
cares? If a guy is not going to want to date you because you sent a double text or because you sent the last message, they didn't respond, and then you texted them again, that's not the person you want to be with. You know,
Right.
I always say you should text your crush the same way you text your friends. Like just be yourself and don't think too much into it. Same thing with, asking somebody out. Like if you're a girl and you want to ask the guy out. Again, if the guy is like turned off by that, what do you want to be in a relationship with a guy who has to plan everything and is the only one who can take the initiative? Like what is that? That's not a
Mhm.
relationship. That's like a dictatorship.
Right. No, I agree with that. And I texted my group, recently, and I like immediately regretted it because
Mhm.
not that I don't value their opinion, and I do typically do a good job of not involving. I mean, I talk about it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of enough for me. But like I try not to involve because I'll feel what they're like, yeah, I shouldn't double text her. Yeah, he's not that into me. He unmatched me and stuff like that. And so it was kind of like immediate regret when I did. But not that they had anything bad to say, but I was just like, I kind of don't even want to hear what they have to say. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm gonna like stop doing.
I think texting the whole group chat is the worst thing you can do for yourself. Because you're also even if you feel like their advice is wrong, they've already given it to you. So now you feel like there's an expectation that you're going to follow through and they're going to check in, and
Yeah.
you're going to feel like you did something wrong if you didn't take their advice. But it's not their relationship, it's not their dating situation. When
Yeah.
I first met Jake, our our first like 5, let's say 5 dates. Well, actually, I can give you an example. Our first date, we had made the plan on like Saturday, maybe for Monday night. And Monday came around and we had a dinner at 7. And I didn't hear from him. It was like 4 o'clock. I hadn't heard from him. And I texted 2 of my friends, a guy and a girl. And I said, I haven't heard from him. Like, I'm going to text him. And they were like, oh my God, absolutely do not do that. That's so desperate. Like, it's a joke if you think this date is happening. You're obviously being stood up. Plus, like, it's afternoon. So, like, you're busy. You've already made other plans because he didn't confirm the date early enough. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, maybe he's busy at work. What a
Yeah.
concept. And I was like, no, like, I'm gonna text him. And they're like, no, Ilana, don't do that. Like, you're getting stood up. Like, just shake it off. I'm like, no. So I texted him, like, hey, are we still on for 7? He's like, hey, sorry, like, been slammed at work all day. Like, was just about to text you. Yeah, I can't wait. Okay. Fast forward in these next few dates, any single time I asked them for their advice or their opinion on, what something he said or a screenshot from a text conversation, everything they said that I should do, the way I should act, I wholeheartedly disagreed with, and I did the exact opposite. And I ended up showing Jake this exact text conversation, like probably 6 months later, of like, oh yeah,
Okay.
like I was getting advice from these people, and like I hated everything they said, so I just did what I wanted. And he could not believe what they were saying. He's like, Anna, if you behaved the way they were telling you to behave, we never would have ended up dating. I would have been so turned off.
Really?
Hmm. You got to do what works for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. And I don't think like the girl and the guy or even my group of friends like has they want me to be happy and
Of
find
course.
that,
Of
but they're like
course.
we just oh my God, we just like I go on a date with a normal guy and I'm like so excited and they're like what was so great about him? I'm like he was just normal. Like that's kind of like the baseline.
Yeah.
Like no real red flag to report. You know what I mean? And that's what a great date was for me at this point. So, oh my gosh, it's so hard. Okay,
Wait, before we move on, because I want
yeah.
to like make something clear. Like, I'm not saying don't ever talk to your friends about your dating life, but
No, of course.
texting a group chat of multiple people with multiple opinions is probably not the smartest thing. I think the best thing to do is like pick up the phone and call your friend, like your one friend who maybe like dates the same as you or is in a relationship that you admire or they've had the same like shitty things happen to them in the past and they really get what you've been through. Like definitely talk to your friends about dating, but you can also talk to your friends and say like, I'm not looking for advice, I'm just looking to vent right now.
Yeah, I think that's the route that I have been going recently, and for some reason I got a little in my head and decided to go the group chat route, but like really like I have been having more fun with dating again. Like I am looking for something serious, and for a while I was very like I would say like miserably looking for something serious. You know, like no,
Yep.
dating wasn't fun because it wasn't working. And when I got on Hinge couple months ago at this point, I was like, I'm just gonna have fun with it. And you know what? Also, I got a dog and I started like not really caring about dating so much. And I just have like something else that occupies my time. And I care about something else so much more. And like I've noticed that the dates I do go on or I'm meeting people out in real life, like it's just happening naturally now. So I think
It's
that's
less
something to say
pressure
about it too.
when you have something else that you're excited about. And like, I mean, life changes like when you have a dog. Like you have something else to live for and you're not just reminded like you don't feel lonely. Like even if you're alone, you don't feel lonely. And I think that is the biggest difference in looking for something serious versus like desperately looking for something serious. And that's why it's happening more organically because you're not putting as much pressure on it.
Yeah, and also I'm changing my because like now I really have to want to go on a date with you if I'm gonna leave my dog and
Mm-hmm.
my couch. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100%. It's got to be something that's going to like elevate your life versus
Yeah.
you wished you were at home.
Like I have to have like a good feeling about you or be, pretty attracted to you and like our cadence of conversation so far. Or you got to catch me at like a good moment because
Totally.
otherwise I am ass on couch with my dog
Yep.
watching Bravo.
As you should
Sorry.
be.
And or should be podcasting, doing something with podcasting. That's what it should be. Okay, so you are a host of 2 podcasts, social media content creator. How is the balance in your life? I had a guest a while ago who said it wasn't balance. It was like about harmonization. I really liked that because there's just like really no balance as a human in this world, but also as a
Hmm.
woman, I feel like we wear a lot of hats. So what's that like? And also I don't want to forget to ask this. Was your now husband, then guy you were dating, intimidated or concerned that you had a podcast? Answer in whatever order.
He loved it. And I loved that about him. From our first date, he was really interested in it. And we met a month after seeing other people launched. And so it was a really interesting time where like I didn't actually have a job. I was like kind of just taking a chance on this thing and
Yeah.
in the very beginning stages of figuring it out. And he was so supportive and had so many questions and listened to every episode as soon as it came out. And that meant so much to me. And,
Mhm.
for a while I had been worried about like, what is somebody not going to want to date me because of what I do? But he couldn't have embraced it more.
Love that.
And that goes back to like, you want to be with somebody who wants all of you, like the bad dancing, the
Yeah.
risky job, career path, and all. Um, Balance. Yeah, what's that? It's hard. It's definitely hard, but I also love wearing so many hats. My favorite thing to do is go on other people's podcasts. I also absolutely love the dating coaching that I do. I love having those one-on-one conversations and seeing the growth that happens and seeing my clients like work through something and have something click in a way that it never had before. I absolutely love that. I love the conversations I have on seeing other people. I love the conversations I have with my co-host Carly Silverman on Life in Progress. That said, Life in Progress is on a break right now because Carly and I are burnt out and
Yeah.
we just couldn't do it all. She's also a therapist and a content creator. And so we just decided like we need to take a step back and take a break. But to your point about harmony, that's 100% how I feel about having both podcasts because to me, they're very different. Seeing other people, I do solo episodes, I bring on guests, I talk to authors and therapists and my listeners anonymously. And Life in Progress just feels like talking to my best friend about
Hmm.
all the things that are happening in our lives. And so they fill different cups, but both in very important ways. And yeah, I mean, there's never a dull moment. Because even in the dull moments, I always feel like, oh, well, I could be doing more. Or,
Hmm.
as a content creator, I open Instagram and somebody else had a video that went viral or hopped on a trend that I haven't done yet. And it's like, oh man, like I should be doing that. But instead, I'm on the couch with my dog. And
Yeah.
there's often this feeling of like guilt and like, well, my next paycheck is never guaranteed. I don't know where it's coming from. So it is a constant hustle. But like I said in the beginning, like there's pros and cons about every job. And at the end of the day, I am so lucky to work for myself and to do something that I love with all of my heart. So I love it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I would change some things, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay. I saw a reel recently of someone being like, how lucky are we to have to decide on something to wear? How lucky are we to have to make
Mhm.
dinner every night? How lucky are we to be overwhelmed with plans? Like,
Yeah.
it's about gratitude. And I feel like I've been trying to like use that as well because my real job is crazy. My podcast schedule is crazy. I'm trying to date. I'm trying to keep up with my friends and their birthdays and their babies and their weddings and now the holidays. And I just feel like sometimes it can be really overwhelming. So, as far as self-care, are you into therapy? Are you into the gym? What's your go-to to kind of
Mhm.
ground yourself?
Yeah. I've been in and out of therapy for probably the last 6 years. Right now I'm not in therapy, but I definitely will go back at some point. Just I think I felt a little therapy overload and wanted to like take a break from that for a bit.
Yeah.
I've really big into fitness. I do a lot of strength training and running and I love it. It's really I consider it my like me time, especially when I can do like a workout class or go for a run where it's something that I'm not on my phone. And so
Mm,
phone free time is the ultimate form of self-care for me.
yeah.
I treasure that and taking my dog Barkley to the park is my favorite thing to do. Um, and to your point about like gratitude, like sometimes I'm like, oh, like I have to walk Barkley, and it's like, no, I get to walk Barkley, like I
Exactly.
get to walk him. So I think I saw that same reel too, actually, and one of the things I remembered is like how lucky are we that we get to feel bloated after overeating? That
Yeah.
stuck with me. I'm like, shit. Yeah, because I complain about that every day because I overeat every day, but I'm lucky to be able to do that. But yeah, anything where I can put my phone down is my favorite kind of self care.
Okay. Do you have limitations around when you're on your phone? Like when you go out to dinner with friends, you're still a content creator, but like, you take the photo or you take the video and then you put your phone away, or like, do you have it available kind of
Yeah.
at all times to you?
I mean, I definitely try and put it away and like be present when I'm with friends or when me and Jake like have a date night or anything like that. I also do love vlogging what happens in my life, but I'll also like tell my friends like, "Oh, I'm vlogging my day." So I'm just going to like take the videos and then I'll put my phone away. And they're pretty used to that at this point, but I never really want my phone to like get in the way of me enjoying life because then what's the point of it?
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you want to
No,
highlight?
this was the
Anything?
fastest hour of my life.
I know.
Like
I know it
ever.
has been 55 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, this was a fun convo though. Okay, but you have to give me a wine of the week if you have one, hopefully.
I have my body is falling apart right now. I can't believe I did not like sneeze through this whole thing because I had a recording an hour ago and I sneezed and blew my nose like every 20 minutes.
Oh,
But
perfect.
my
Got
wine
it
of
out of
the
the
week
way.
is very health related. I'm falling apart. I I mentioned I've been running. I did my longest run I've ever done on Friday, which was 8 miles. And in the process, I like re-injured my calf, which was injured for like the first half of the year. And
No.
then later that day, I burnt my finger while making hard-boiled eggs. Um, and now I have a cold and I have a rash over my whole body. And I went to the doctor today and they're like, oh, we don't really know what it is. So
It's
a
probably just
lot
like
to whine
stress.
about right now. Yeah, I'm falling apart. But we're gonna get through
How
it.
old are you?
How old do you think I am?
Oh, wait. Um,
Scary.
28?
30.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you approaching the 30? Because it sounds like everything that you've just said, if I was a doctor, I would say, are you turning 30 years old?
I turned 30 and my body fell apart. So yeah.
It's crazy how that happens. Okay, so about your calf and your injury, I did this thing at the beginning of the year. I was active for 127 days in a row, 20 minutes a day of body movement, and I was so proud of myself and it felt amazing. And I completely fell off, and so I'm trying to get back to it, but my body is a mess. So anytime I restart running or something like that, something happens. Like, how are you going to overcome running your longest run you've done, 8 miles, and now how much time do you have to take off because of your injury? Do you know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
me, that's what like sets me back. The
100%. Like the
mental.
second one thing gets in the way, I'm gonna take it easy. As soon as I don't feel like I have this cold anymore, like I'm gonna try and go for like a 2 mile run. And I used to be really hard on myself, or not used to be, like on up until earlier this year, like I had never really run more than 3 miles. And since August, I've been like doing longer and longer runs. And like I did a 6 mile run for the first time and then a 7 mile run for the first time. And this is my 8 mile run. And I'm really excited about it. And it's had a weird effect where now I'm like, I'll do like a 3 mile run. And I'm like, oh, but I only ran 3 miles. And I'm like, bitch, a year ago, I
Mm,
couldn't run a single mile. So
yeah.
I am trying to go easy on myself and be like, okay, like I'm going to try and run 2 miles. And if I can run 2 miles without my calf hurting, that would be amazing. If I can run 1 mile without my calf hurting, or at the mile mark, my calf starts to hurt, I'm going to stop. Like I want to take it easy so that I can continue to run. And
Yeah.
I don't want to just let this like stop me from doing everything that I want to be doing. So it's trial and error, but like being kind to myself in the process.
Okay, I like that. And for a new runner like myself, or trying to be a constant new runner, what is one thing that you would suggest doing? Because I've never run more than 3 miles consecutive, like without stopping. And I
Mhm.
would love to run a half marathon one day if my body would allow. So are you doing any of those like vitamins on the way? Is it a podcast you're listening to? Is it music? What's the vibe?
First of all, I love this for you. I just applied last week for my first half marathon, so we'll see. Um,
Yay! Oh my God.
I again, like it excites me that it's like 30 minutes or an hour where I'm not on my phone. So like get
Yeah.
that in your mind. Like you get a mental break. If there's I'll either have a podcast that I'm an episode that I'm excited to listen to, or I'll
Okay.
listen to music, or have you used the Nike running app?
Um, I've logged in, but I wouldn't like
Okay.
If you're about
They're
to tell me
guided
something good about it,
runs.
I probably don't know.
I do not go for a run without using their guided runs. They are amazing and they're
Oh,
like
really?
motivational and they keep you going, and some are time based, some are distance based. They have like hundreds of them. I absolutely love them. And then one thing you said, you like 3 miles without stopping, like you're allowed to stop. Why don't you like
Yeah.
run a mile and then walk the next half mile and then run a mile and then walk next half mile? And you can also slow down. I was so caught up with speed for so long. And it wasn't until recently, about a month and a half ago, I went for a run with my friend who was doing marathon training, and it was her like recovery run day.
Hmm.
So it was like a run that I could actually do.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, sometimes I feel bad like running with people because I usually run really slow and I don't want to like, hold people back or slow people down. I'm like, what do you mean? Like you're running the marathon. Like how would you hold somebody back? And she's like, well, I'm like trying to run a 12-minute mile. I'm like, okay, but you're going to run 26 of them. Like you're currently running like 18 of them on the weekend. Like you're not
Yeah.
holding anyone back. And actually hearing her say that she was trying to run a 12-minute mile for the marathon unlocked something in me where I was like, wait a second, I can slow down. Oh, I never thought
Mm.
about that. And that is when I made that jump from like 3 and 4 mile runs to like 6, 7, and now 8 because I slowed down, which I had just
Oh,
never
love
thought
that.
about
Good for
doing before.
you.
Yeah. So try that.
Okay. I like that. I'm day 3 of it again. Day 3 of my
Yay.
restart fitness journey. So
There we go.
gotta start
Love it.
somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Always.
This was so fun, and I would love to do it again in the future.
We're going to get you
Um,
on seeing other people. So consider it done.
got a lot to say.
I have no
Where
doubt about
can
it.
yeah. Where can you okay, so at seeing other people,
Yes.
at
It's Life in Progress,
it's life in
and
progress.
at Ilana Dunn. And then you can find those podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. If you
Yeah,
want to
and I'll
find
put it
me,
in the show notes.
I'm easy to find.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you so, so much for coming on. I really
Thank
appreciate it. And
you.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it. And whiners, I love you guys. I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.